Hey everyone, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in to Relevant Jukebox. So I got another batch of 10 records for you guys here today. We're gonna get right into this update. Before I do, if you are new to the channel and you are interested in vinyl, music reviews, music content, it'd be really cool if you considered subscribing. Just past 200 subscribers, which is really awesome. But yeah, I won't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into this update here. Starting off with some Drone. This is a record I picked up on Record Store Day last year. Life Metal by Sunn, the Drone Gods. Really enjoyed this one, even though it is not my favorite Sunn album. I still prefer Monoliths and Dimensions, but this was really cool. Change of pace, bringing in Steve Albini into the mix, I think really enhanced everything that Sunn does. I was lucky enough to catch Sunn at Coolidge Corner Theater in Boston about 2 years ago, I think, at this point, and it blew me away. It blew my mind. Like, I really couldn't really say that I understood what this band was doing until I saw them live. And this record here, cool inner sleeves, by the way. This record here, I think, represents that live experience best, and that's thanks to Mr. Steve, I think. Just a black vinyl. This was the Record Store Day press out of, I believe, 4,000 for USA and Canada. And it did come with a nice little OBI strip, which, again, you don't see too often, but adds a nice little touch there. And next up here, I have the second album that they released in 2019, Pyroclasts, which I do prefer to Life Metal. I do like the tones on this, a little sludgier, a little heavier, and I do prefer that side of Sunn. But this was a sister album to Life Metal, also recorded with Steve Albini, and it came out amazing, as you'd expect. And this is another limited vinyl. It's a white pressing here. This one's out of 500. And yeah, if you are interested in drone music, you gotta check out Sunn. They are pretty much the way to go to get your toes into it. Moving right along here, I have a record from one of my favorite songwriters of all time, Mr. Stephen Malkmus, Groove Denied. This was a little bit of an oddball release for Steven. He was dabbling with synthesizers and electronic music on here. And, I think it would have come out a lot better if he didn't, kind of half-ass his way through this album, committing to that sound. A lot of this record is also a bunch of, Jicks and Pavement-sounding throwaways, but it is still a good album. This is the clear indie exclusive. I'm a big Steven fan. Just his fingerprint, you can hear it in anything that he touches, and it just really, it connects with me. So I wasn't as much of a fan of his newer album than I was to this one, but, hopefully one day he goes back and explores those synthesizers. Next up, I have the most recent album from Chelsea Wolfe, Birth of Violence. Not my favorite Chelsea Wolfe album. I still prefer Apocalypsis, but I did enjoy this album here because she goes back to her more doomy, folky roots. Here's the gatefold there. Chelsea looking all spooky. And I'm almost positive I ran into her when she was recording this album. Back when I was living in Salem, Mass, I was eating at a restaurant, and I turned around. She was sitting right behind me, which was pretty cool. She is very tall in real life, and she has a very interesting presence. But this is also a limited vinyl. This was put up by Newberry Comics. It's like the Cloudy Clear, and I believe it is out of 500. This also came with a pretty cool booklet, with a lot of artwork, and I'll just give you a little sneak peek there. Next up, I have Sharon Van Etten, Remind Me Tomorrow. Thought this was a really good album from Sharon. She never caught me really before in some of her previous stuff. I just really plain sounding to me, but a lot of added flavor and instrumentation on this one thanks to John Coglington and all those really cool, creepy synthesizers that they put in on this one. Kind of gave me Twin Peaks vibes at times. And this is a limited blue, clear blue. I don't know how many there were of this one, but it is a very nice release that matches the cover, which is kind of strange. A bunch of kids throwing a bunch of shit around in their room. But yeah, there's some really good tracks on here. Memorial Day, Comeback Kid, Hands. That's an also really awesome one. Next up here, I have the latest from Solange, When I Come Home. Pretty interesting follow-up to A Seat at the Table, I thought. Wasn't what I was expecting her to do. She took a turn for the more experimental and dark side of things. But I enjoy this record. I think some of the ideas panned out, some of them didn't. This is a clear vinyl. You know, it looks really nice. Everybody always says the clear records sound the best. I don't know what they're talking about. I was lucky enough to catch Solange in Boston, and she is a performer. I mean, if you ever have the chance to see Solange live, I highly suggest it. I mean, she is just so great. Next up, I have Mac DeMarco's latest album, Here Comes the Cowboy. Now, this is the worst Mac DeMarco record. I'm not going to beat around the bush. For sure the worst one. But... you know, a cool gatefold to actually see a Mac in his studio. But, you know, I'm a big Mac DeMarco fan, I guess, if I think about it. Like, I've listened to him for a long time now, and this record, I don't know what happened on this. I mean, it sounds like he's depressed or something, but, you know, there is still that Mac touch in here. You can find it somehow. This was a limited retail exclusive of the green with black smoke in it, which is a cool pressing. I opted for this one instead of grabbing the one from his new record label. But, you know, I just was filling out my Mac DeMarco collection basically by grabbing this. Next up, I have the latest from Julia Jacklin, Crushing. Really solid singer-songwriter album here. I was turned on to her music from this album, which was put up by the good people over at Polyvinyl. The art direction on this release is amazing. I mean, I love the way that the Kelly green and the orange just kind of interact with each other on like every aspect of the packaging. Really solid songs on here though. If you put on the first track, Body, you're gonna get a great taste, but she's got a fantastic voice. I mean, she sounds like an angel, and I think the instrumentation can seem really plain at first, but it really matches the subject matter of the lyrics that she's talking about. This was the standard green. So you can pick this up on Polyvinyl still. Beautiful press, and it's even got some little white streaks in it that add a really nice touch. Next up here is an album that I just don't really hear that many people talk about from 2019, which Kevin Morby's Oh My God. This is definitely his best release yet. I'm not really sure why more people don't talk about this. I mean, it's definitely talked about, but... I thought this was pretty awesome. I mean, it is a little derivative of Lou Reed, but I enjoy these tracks. There's like this really smoky atmosphere on this album that's really, really good, and I think it's well written. This was the Sky Blue press from Dead Oceans, and it's got a nice little marbling effect going on over there. But yeah, definitely give this album a listen. There's some really good tracks on here. I mean, Piss River is super solid. And last up, rounding out this batch of records for my update, is a new hip-hop album that is pretty buzzed about, and I enjoy it. It's grown on me a little bit. Slowthai's Nothing Great About Britain. Yeah, this is a fun little album here. I don't really think the production is that cutting-edge sounding to my ears, I guess. But I really love Slowthai as an MC. His accent really works for what he's going for, I think. And it kind of sounds like he's drunk and eating food. It's really awesome. It's an interesting flow. But this is the Translucent Blue. There were 3 options when you pre-ordered this album, and it was like blue, white, and red, I believe. I just grabbed the blue one. So yeah, that's gonna round out this vinyl update. I will be back soon with another one for you guys. But if you like this video, I'd really appreciate it if you drop a like and share. And if you want more content from me, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Peace.